peeps, is a financial brethren here again with another awesome educational episode. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Please consider hitting notification bell. That way you'll be notified whenever we drop new content. So without further ado, let's get into it. With the festive season now in full swing, there's often a chance of going a little bit overboard with spending, especially with celebrations and gift giving. And we're all guilty of this. We know it ourselves. This enthusiasm can sometimes lead to overspending, and if not careful, it might result in accumulating credit card debt, which is the topic of this episode, that can really carry over into the new year and cause a lot of problems for us. So I saw it necessary to cover credit card debt as an entire episode by itself. Credit card typically have anywhere from 9 to around 10 features. In this section, we'll cover the typical features of a credit card. The first one being the issuer logo. This is the logo of the financial issuer or the bank that issued the credit card, and it is usually prominently displayed in the front or on the front fascia of the card. The second one being the card holder's name. The name of the person to whom the card is issued appears on the front of the card. It's embossed or printed on the surface. The third feature being the card number. It's a unique series of digits that identify the credit card account. The number typically ranges from 13 to 19 depending on the issue of the credit card, and it is divided into sections for identification purposes. Fourth feature being the expiration date. This indicates the month and the year when the credit card will expire. After this date, the card is no longer valid for transactions, and a new card is usually issued by the bank. The fifth feature being the security code, CVV or CVC, the card verification value, which is CVV, or credit card verification code, CVC, is a 3 or 4 digit code depending on the card network. It's located on the back of the card. It's used for a security feature for online purchases or phone transactions, verifying the person actually has the card in their possession physically. Sixth feature being the card network logo. Credit cards are associated with specific card network, typically Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover. The logo of the network is usually displayed on the card, indicating where the card can be used. The seventh feature, and it's a new feature, especially for Jamaican cards or card issued in Jamaica, is the chip or the EMV chip. Many credit cards have been enabled with microchips now on the front, which stores encrypted information. This chip enables security and reduces the risk of fraud for in-person transactions. And 8 being the magnetic strip, which we all are accustomed to by now, which is that black strip on the back of the card. So this is known as the magnetic strip that stores essential card holder information. This strip is swiped through card readers for transactions, through it becoming less common, although it's becoming less common due to the increase of the chip, which I mentioned earlier, which is the seventh feature. And then ninth, of course, being the signature strip. Again, this is on the back of the card. Typically contains a surface or a space for the card holder's signature. Those signatures are becoming less relevant for verification purposes these days. Some cards still have that area where you can sign on the back. And then lastly is the contact information. Some cards include contact details for the issuing bank or card issuer for customer care calling purposes, or in the case if the card is stolen or lost, you can call that number to speak to customer service. What is credit card debt really? Credit card debt refers to the amount of money owed to the credit card company or the bank due to the use of the credit card, of course, for the purchases of goods or services, or if you do cash advances or balance transfers. When you use a credit card to make purchases, you are essentially borrowing money from the bank and you are required to pay back this money, typically on a monthly basis. If you do not pay off the entire balance by the due date, the remaining sum incurs interest, which is the cost of borrowing this money from the bank. The interest rate on credit card debt can be very high compared to other forms of borrowing. And if the debt is not managed properly, it can accumulate quickly and become a financial burden. It can snowball and get out of control. Credit card debt can result from overspending, unexpected expenses, or financial difficulties which we fall into from time to time. It's essential to manage credit card debt responsibly to avoid the accumulating of excessive debt, as it can negatively impact your credit score and your financial well-being. So now that we know what is credit card debt, in this section we'll be covering managing credit card debt. Managing credit card debt effectively involves several strategies. So in this section I'll be going through several main strategies that you can use to help to pay down the debt and prevent it from growing further. So here are some tips. Number 1, you want to create a budget. Establish a budget to track your income and your expenses. This helps you to understand where your money is going and identify areas where you can cut back on spending to allocate more funds towards debt repayment, i.e. credit card debt repayment. Secondly, pay more than the minimum amount. Always strive to pay more than the minimum amount due on the credit card statement. By paying more, you can reduce the principal amount owed and decrease the overall interest charges. Thirdly, you want to prioritize high interest debt, quote unquote, the credit card with the highest interest rate. So if you have 2 credit cards and one being 45% and the next one being 50%, you want to focus on the 50% one first. So if you have multiple credit cards with varying interest rates, that's how you should prioritize and focus on the highest interest rate one. Fourthly, you want to consider consolidating your debt if necessary. Explore options for consolidating credit card debt, such as transferring balances to a card with a lower interest rate if you have an option, or obtain a debt consolidation loan. This can streamline payments and potentially reduce interest costs, so speak to your personal banker for that. Fifth, avoid adding more debt. You don't want to pay it off and then go back or use it, or you take out a debt, unsecured debt somewhere. You want to focus on your existing credit card debt and pay them down and pay them off, more importantly. Sixth, negotiate lower interest rate if that's an option to you. You can contact your credit card issuer sometimes and inquire about lowering your interest rate. Sometimes a simple request or mentioning your good payment history can result in a reduced rate, or if there's some special going on, you can check that out with your bank, depending. Seventh, seek credit card counseling. So like this episode that we're doing, it's a key episode. You want to check out this episode. You want to understand credit card. You want to consider consulting a non-profit credit counseling agency. This can offer advice, debt management plans, and financial education to help you manage your credit card debt effectively. 8, you want to stay organized and monitor spending. So keep track of your expenses. You can use an app, you can use an Excel sheet where necessary, you can use your credit card statements regularly and organize them. So this helps you to stay on top of your debt and ensures that you're not overspending. 9th, generate additional income or side income if necessary. So you want to look for ways you can increase your income, such as taking on a part-time job or some freelancing opportunity online, and use the extra money to accelerate your debt payment. Lastly, you want to be patient and persistent. Managing credit card debt takes time and discipline. You want to be patient with the process and stay committed to your payment plan. I'm sure no one takes out a credit card to say, I'm going to rack up some debt and just leave it as is. So in this section, I'll be identifying several reasons why persons in the Western Hemisphere will typically have credit card debt, and the number one reason being lack of financial literacy. Many people lack proper financial education about interest rate, debt management, and responsible credit card usage. So this lack of knowledge can result in casual accumulation of debt without understanding the long-term implication. And the second one being a desire for status and lifestyle. Some individuals may use credit cards to maintain a certain lifestyle or to keep up with the Jones. This desire for status or pressure to display a particular standard of living can lead to overspending and accumulation of debt. Thirdly, consumer culture. Society often promotes a culture of consumerism, emphasizing material possession and instant gratification. Advertisement, societal pressure may encourage persons to spend beyond their means, leading to the accumulation of debt. And the next one, fourthly, being ease or access to credit card. Credit cards provide a convenient access to borrowed funds, which we think is free funds, which can lead some individuals to use them without fully understanding the consequences. So the ease of swiping a card can make spending feel less impactful than using cash. Fifth being emergency spending or unexpected expenses. As I said, you can't see these ones coming. No one knows the minute or the hour. In some cases, people may use credit cards casually to cover emergency expenses or unexpected financial challenges. Whilst this may not be for leisure purposes, it can contribute to the overall accumulation of debt if not managed properly. The sixth being the minimum payment trap. Some individuals fall into the minimum payment trap where they only pay the minimum required amount on their credit cards each month. These habits prolong the debt repayment period and increases the overall interest paid, leading to accumulation of more debt. And then lastly, short-term focus. People might prioritize immediate wants over long-term financial goals. This short-term focus can lead to casual and sometimes excessive use of credit cards without considering the future impact on finances. Thus far, we have spoken at length about managing credit card debt responsibly, the reason why people accumulate credit card debt in the first place. That is not to say that a credit card cannot be a good thing. It can be if used responsibly. Credit card debt plays a crucial role in building credit history, which is essential for individuals who plan to borrow money from the bank in the future. It helps them to build a relationship. The use of credit card translates to 1. Credit history and credit score. Credit card activities including making regular payments on time and managing debt responsibly is reported to the credit bureaus. This information contributes to making a credit history and it affects the individual's credit score. A good credit score demonstrates that the borrower is creditworthy and responsible. It makes it easier for that person to qualify for loans, mortgages, and other credit products that the bank will have. Secondly, demonstration of financial responsibility. The responsible use of credit cards, which includes paying a bill on time and maintaining a low credit utilization ratio, which means that you're not going to max out the card all the time or any at all, right? They showcase financial responsibility to lenders or the banks. This can increase the trust and confidence when the banks or the lenders assess the individual creditworthiness. Now, people, I hope you're not getting the wrong message. I'm not saying cash is a bad thing. Cash isn't necessarily a villain here, but it has its perks. But let's face it, when it comes to advantages, credit card will have the upper hand. Cash has its limits, such as limited credit history. Using only cash means there's no credit activity reported to the credit bureau, and without any credit account or history, it's very challenging for bankers to lend you money. You don't have any track record. Inability to build credit score. Cash transactions do not contribute to building a credit history or improving a credit score if it's in need of repairing. Lenders typically like to see a track record of responsible credit usage and timely repayment. So if it's even a $10,000 credit card you want to take out, do that, use it responsibly, you'll build a track record from that. Thirdly, financial flexibility. Solely relying on cash for transactions will limit your financial flexibility, especially given that you can't travel with a lot of money on your person, like one time, right? You can't have over $1 million on you right now. So a credit card will reduce the risk of any robbery or reduce the risk of you getting in trouble with the law if found with $1 million on you. You can just have that on your credit card. That's all I was saying, right? Now with the Christmas season in full swing, it's imperative that credit card users be aware of unauthorized transactions. So here are several security imperatives that credit card users should be aware of. Store your credit card in a secure place. I think that's the most obvious. Sign the back of your card to prevent unauthorized users. You want to memorize your PIN or your password and not use your typical birthday or 1, 2, 3, 4. Regularly monitor your transactions. If there's any unfamiliar, you quickly report them. And you want to set up a quick alert, right? Use only secure or reputable websites for online transactions. Avoid public Wi-Fi as there can be less secure these days. Avoid sharing credit card details via phone or email. Shred documents that contain credit card details before disposing of them to prevent identity theft. You want to report your card if it's lost or stolen as quickly as possible. Be cautious of scams as fraudulent emails, phishing emails, fraudulent calls are being made by scammers nowadays to access your information. You want to use the chip and the PIN for in-person transactions as it provides additional security compared to magnetic strips. You also want to consider using a two-factor authentication. So by adhering to these security imperatives and staying vigilant about protecting your credit card information, you can minimize the risk of fraud or unauthorized use and ensure the safety and the security of your finances. Now people, if you have made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. I want to encourage you guys to stick to your budget. I want to encourage you guys to pay back your credit cards on time, not overspend, stick to your budget. I want to remind you also to subscribe to the YouTube channel, #FinancialBrethren. Remember, Financial Brethren is not just a community, but it's a movement to acquire financial freedom and financial literacy. Like, share, subscribe, and follow me on all platforms. Instagram, you can find me at founder.president, BI Institute, and business.analytics with a Z. Until next time, I'm out.